Hi, family. It's Spanflower. I'm back here with you again. As I had stated earlier, I had talked about doing a subsequent video to the one the short I did earlier today, because I wanted to give a little bit more context to what happened yesterday in the United States Congress. Whew. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about that and mention four other topics that I felt like we needed to keep an eye on and to discuss. And so we're just going to go through those items really quickly. And you post your comment, like, subscribe, and share to what you think is going on. And if there's a topic that you want to talk about or that you feel that I didn't mention on the channel, please post a comment to it and I'll be sure to respond to that comment. But okay, let's get to it. And for this, I'm going to put my glasses on because I don't want to misstate anything. So, okay, here we go. All right. So, yesterday, they had a vote on the House floor yesterday to remove Kevin McCarthy as the Speaker of the House. Matt Gaetz, who is a Republican congressman from Florida, initiated the vote because Kevin McCarthy, who is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, in order to get into that spot, made a pact or made a part of an agreement with the House Republicans that it would only take one person to motion him up for removal, and that's exactly what Matt Gaetz did yesterday. And so now Kevin McCarthy is out. It was a vote of 216 to 210. Now the Republicans only had a thin majority in the House, so none of the Democrats voted to keep Kevin McCarthy in the House, and so a few Republicans voted with the House Democrats to remove him from office. And he actually got removed from office because he had made an agreement with the Democrats to, try to get the budget passed to keep the country rolling. So go figure, it ain't no friends in politics, they just frenemies, okay? So the thing is that now the Congress is on recess until next week when they come back into the House to elect a new Speaker of the House, and they have like Jim Jordan and Jim Scalise. These are representatives. One is from New Orleans, and one is from Jim Jordan is from Ohio. Steve Scalise is from New Orleans. So those are the two front runners to replace him, and then they have to have a vote, and it's all this hand wrangling and stuff like that that's going on. In the meantime, you still have budgets and bills and all the appropriations and all these things that need to be passed to keep the government running. What kind of Anyway, as I had stated before, next election, we need to get on top of this, put some people in office that's going to take care of their business and not be, hand wrangling and, playing around. There's too much of that going on, and we look chaotic, and it's just not a good look. So the government needs to run better in order for the country to be running better. So they go hand in hand, bottom line. So anyway, that's what's happening with that, and that had never happened in the history of this country. So again, there's a lot of firsts in the history of this country this year, so go figure. The second thing that I wanted to talk about on this list was the United Auto Workers. Per General Motors, and it's an article or a courtesy of a CNBC news channel, they said that General Motors secured a $6 billion line of credit as they try to, get themselves or fund themselves for the additional strikes that's going on with the United Auto Workers. Man, they got to go and get $6 billion because the workers are on strike. How about just give the workers the $6 billion? And I mean, like, that doesn't make sense to me. They got to go get a line of credit to keep things operational. Why didn't you just pay the workers? I mean, like, I'm sure there's a lot more that goes into that, and a lot more hand wrangling and all of that stuff that goes in, that's involved. But it doesn't make sense to have to take out a $6 billion. And I know it's like a lot of ins and out that goes into that I don't know about, because I'm not a money manager. So I just think that if you have to borrow $6 billion, why not just pay the people that's working for you and they can go back to work? How about we just do that? Why? That doesn't make sense to me. But again, so the targeted strike already cost the automakers $200 million a quarter, GM said Thursday. Wow, 200. So you essentially paying people and keeping the company afloat for them to be off work. Just give them what they need, uh, which is reasonable, so that they can get back to work. You can't. It can't be more than what you're spending now with them being outside of work, or maybe it can. I don't know. I don't have the facts and figures in front of me, but again, this is a huge story because there are thousands and thousands of people in the country that work with the United Auto Workers. Those are the car makers, manufacturers. I mean, like, that is a huge deal, and so those people need to be back to work, and they've been out of work for a little bit. So, that's another story. Okay, just oh my goodness. Now, the third story that I wanted to talk about is something that we're dealing with in the state of Illinois. Now, I live in Chicago. Chicago is a sanctuary city. So that means that we are welcoming of migrants. We're welcoming of illegal immigrants. We're welcoming of people coming from war-torn countries, asylum seekers, and the like. So, I just wanted to read a little statistical data from the website of the Border Patrol Agency. And this information is coming right off of their website. And let me just see what it says. It says, according to August 2023, this is as of August, the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol said that they had encountered, oh my goodness, let's see, that they had encountered 181,059 people between the ports of entry along the southwest border, just in the month of August of this year. Now, their total, the Chicago, the Border Protection Agency's total number of encounters just for the month of August along the entire border was 232,972 people. These were illegals, migrants, asylum seekers, all the rest at the border. So again, that's just for 1 month. So where is the money coming from? You know what I'm saying? Let me just say, these people have to be housed. They need medical treatment. They need food. They have to be educated. I mean, they have to care for all of their needs. And this is just for 1 month. So imagine through the course of the whole year, what that amount of that figure will be. And are we open borders now? I mean, like, what is this type of policy that has it that these persons can come? You have young children, unaccompanied. I mean, like, what is that? You have children trekking across the... So anyway, this is what we're doing. So based from the fiscal year 2023 that runs from October the 1st, 2022 to September the 30th, 2023. Let me just see it says that CPB saw 1,843,432,000 encounters. That's just in 1 year. These groups need, as I said before, food, housing, medical, education. Where is this money coming from? Now, I'm not saying that all of those persons were allowed to stay in the country or whatever the case may be. But I know in the city of Chicago, where I live, these people are sleeping outside of the police stations. I mean, they're housing them, they're feeding them, they're trying to do everything that they can to help. And what about the citizenry here in the city of Chicago and across the country that are struggling and suffering and trying to make do with their bills? I mean, like, where is this money coming from? Okay, I just can't imagine trying to feed 2 million people that don't have anything. And it's really way more than 2 million people, because that was just for 1 fiscal year. So we haven't had a chance to break down the money amounts and all of that, because it's staggering. you know how much it costs to feed your family for a day, a week, a month. So imagine feeding millions of people for months. I mean, like, this is just so much. I mean, really, it's a lot. So that's the third thing we need to pay attention to. Now, The fourth thing that I wanted to talk about uh, was the crime in the country. Okay, so they're saying that the crime levels are going down, but the homicide levels are going up. Go figure. I don't know. So they doing less crime, but they just killing people more. They doing more killings and less crime. How do you quantify that? So let's just mosey on over here to this website here, so that we can get some more data. Okay. Now, this is this website is called USA Facts, and I just was reading over different websites and different communications and different going onto the governmental websites to see what's what, and this one had the most. It had the most detail already that I saw, and I'm just gonna read off a couple of these things from here. Just a couple of their data points. It says violent crime fell by 1.7% in 2021 after growing by 4.6% in 2020. Property crime fell for the second record year in a row in 2021 by 4.5%. It says government in that year spent $267 billion on law enforcement and corrections in 2020, the most since 1980, adjusted for, I'm sorry, excuse me, the least since 1980, adjusted for inflation. Okay. The number of police officers per 100,000 people fell 6.9% from its peak in 2009 to 2021. Okay, it also says law enforcement cleared 16% of reported Part 1 crimes in 2021, meaning an arrest was made or whatever the circumstances was, such as death of the offender and prevented arrest. So I don't know what the okay. More than 5.5 million people were in prison, jail, or on probation or parole in 2020. 5.5 million. You have 300 million people in the country. Do the math. That is a percentage of the country that is incarcerated. So if you got millions of immigrants that you got, illegal immigrants and the like that you got to feed, you got the people that are incarcerated that you have to feed, which is in the millions. You have the people in the country that are not able to work and may have disabilities or different things like that that you might have to provide for, and even they not getting provided for the way that the way that these other groups of people are being provided for. So I just want to understand, okay, where does that money come from? I mean, like, this is a staggering amount of money that the country has to spend, and and I can understand them having to do this, but this is a huge deal because I'm worried not about this generation, but the generations that coming after us. Okay, we've lived in the United States, and the United States is a superpower, and we can pretty much hold our own and do what we need to do. But 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, what is that going to mean for your children, your grandchildren, your great-great-grandchildren? We want to leave something for them to be able to have a piece of something from the country. You know, we don't want to exhaust everything that we have. So it's a really, I don't know, it's a really big deal. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was COVID. Okay, so COVID, for all intents and purposes, what these articles are saying is trying to rear its ugly head again. Now, I myself was in the pharmacist yesterday, a store that has a pharmacy in it. And when I went back there to look for the item that I was trying to look for, several people came in there asking about the COVID shots, the COVID tests, and I was surprised by that. And I've been seeing more and more people wear their masks and are concerned about it. And so I've been paying attention to it, but I hadn't really been paying attention to it as much. And so that's why I brought it up, because we have to check on that and see, because that was a devastating thing that happened within the country just a couple of years ago. So to see older people in the store that I was in, multiple of them asking about the shot, the test, and whatever, asking questions about it, it was concerning, and so I felt like I needed to bring that up. And so based on that, was searching, and then I did find an article, and I wanted to bring that article to your attention, and we'll go with that. So let's just see. It was an article by NBC News, and this article was published on September the 6th. It was by Sarah G. Miller, Marina Koff, and Ashke Sayal is a medical doctor. And it says science in the U.S. continue to point to a rise in COVID activity as fall approaches. Hospitalizations are rising, deaths have ticked up, wastewater samples are picking up the virus, as our labs across the country. Every single one of these things is showing that we have increased rates of COVID transmissions in our communities. And so, and the article went on to talk more about the whole COVID thing and what the findings were and all of that. So that's another thing that we have to keep our eyes on. So we have so much and so much more. I mean, like, just in the city of Chicago alone, there's so much going on. And I just wanted to give a general synopsis of other things that's happening. Now, like I said, I didn't want to wade into these situations because I know, especially on the political front, it's so divisive, it's so toxic. And I try to keep the channel on a positive level. But when things like this happen, and I am a historian, so I have to make sure that I'm documenting and speaking truth to the channel, and these are things we need to focus on. So each week, we're going to try to take some of these items and bring it to the channel so that we can have an in-depth conversation. On Tuesdays, I would like to do that. Now, because I was following heavily this whole vote with the Congress and trying to keep the government open and funded and all of that, I didn't get a chance to get to my endowment piece, but I will. So Tuesdays, I'll make those the days, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays, that I do pieces that are very important that we need to keep watch for, because I don't want to have the channel on a heightened alert every time I get on air, but I do want to be able to bring pieces of information that we actually need to know to the forefront so that we can have an idea about it. And they do have all these elections coming up next year and all this other stuff going on, so we have to do our due diligence to make sure that we're putting credible people in office that will act on our best interests and on our behalf, and not just because they're popular. So again, this is just my little discussion for Wednesday. I'm hoping that we exercise wisdom and just have a peaceful thought in our minds about what to do to help the country move forward. And I felt like it was important to talk about this because this was laid on my heart to do so. So I appreciate you all taking the time with me today to listen to what I have to say. And if you have comments about this, please post a comment. Or if you have questions, please post your question to the website, to the channel. If you need help with anything or any information you want me to find that's applicable, I most certainly will do that for you, because I'm here. The channel is here to be a help and to be a beacon of positivity and light and truthful information when we're talking to our viewers. All right, so again, thank you so much for taking some time with me today, just going over 5 little topics that I felt like were they big topics that I felt like we needed to pay attention to, and much more. They just the ones that's in the news now, but it's a lot going on, like the 9-year-old. I mean, just so much. But anyway, if you have questions or comments, like I said, leave them on the channel. All right, thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Have a blessed and wonderful evening. And this is W's on Wednesday. Spanflower out. Thank you so much.